What's going on, G? Look at you with the little collection behind you and shit, bro. Shit.
Yeah, I'm redoing the room as we speak. As you can probably tell, like when I did the first interview, when I got back on deck, I had the CDs up there. All the CDs were up there, but now I'm
Yeah,
doing something different. I still got CDs and cassettes over here, but
yeah.
I'm doing my best to expand even a little more. I mean, there's other stuff in the background too. I don't know if you see. There's a couple. There's a couple
I see a couple
vinyls and
12
there's a couple
inches and
CDs
shit.
up
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I see the 12 inches up there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
It's a,
like staying true to the element of embracing real media.
that's what's up, bro. That's what's up. And that's all of us right now, right? We're always trying
Yes,
to do
indeed. Oh yeah, it's definitely all of us.
exactly, bro. You know that. We the ones that we're broke as hell, but we love it.
Yeah. Trust me, I can attest to that, and I'm still dealing with it as we speak. But hey,
Exactly, right?
never stop loving music though.
Exactly. No matter what, it's always going to be the number one thing, right?
Yes, indeed.
Oh man, trust me, and I'm happy to just talk to you about music because you know your shit more than anybody I know, bro.
Oh, that made my night. For you to tell me that, that made my night. Thank
I'm
you.
being
Thank
serious,
you.
bro. Like for years, you stay true to it. You know what I mean? And not a lot of cats do that, so I respect you for that.
Yeah, I mean the music will never go out of me, man. I love it. You know,
Exactly. No,
and
there's a
that's
reason why
why,
they call you the New Jack Kid because you stay the New Jack Kid, right?
yes, indeed. Yeah. Now, even though I'm known as a New Jack Kid, I'm showing other elements of me too. And some folks, they
Exactly.
forget. Well, the reason why I said it is because, long story short, I played sax when I was in middle and high school. And
Wow.
I didn't stay true to that because I got more down for radio and media again. When I
Oh,
was,
okay.
yeah, because I came across old interviews of Donnie when he would have, the guests on the couch on Video So, and like that is probably the one to get into radio and TV again. So
Well, it's
that's what I
those are
was
the
doing.
special moments in an artist's life. You know what I mean? Especially when you get to meet someone that legendary who's done so
Yeah.
much for music in general. You're just like, holy fuck. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you get to be interviewed by Donnie Simpson, that's such a huge deal.
And that explains why I have my unique way of interviewing individuals, whether if
Mhm.
it's on the radio or even off the radio. Like if I'm doing, an interview in advance, like I was in college radio and I interviewed Uncle Luke, and like that whole, concept, it was unique. It was,
Damn.
yeah, it was definitely unique. We spoke at the Overtime Music and Arts Festival 10 years ago. And man, like he was just so cool and like all the way uncensored.
Oh, see, I know that. I know his ass would have been cussing the whole entire time when you guys were talking.
Yeah, I mean he was going to, but since we were like, pressed on time and whatnot, he didn't go all the way there. He did mention you need to support your businesses and all that and support his wife because she at the time, I don't know if she has it now, but she had a Wingstop restaurant and he was like pushing hard for that. So he
Damn.
was he yeah, he was on me and everybody saying, "Yeah, I support my wife at her restaurant."
And then you're just like, oh, if he's telling me to do it, then I might as well go ahead and support it, right?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. And I've been to the restaurant before. Yeah, well her franchise, shall I say, because it's Wingstop.
Mm, that's actually interesting. I didn't know that. I
Yeah, I
didn't
don't know. Yeah,
know.
Kristen Campbell, but I don't know if she has it now. But 10 years ago, she did own a Wingstop restaurant.
Very interesting to know that. I didn't think
Oh
that
yeah,
they had franchises of that.
oh yeah. You be surprised, especially here in Miami.
See, I need to come out to Miami more often now.
And
I
now
need
and,
to
and now and now that you know that I'm still here, you definitely got to come to Miami.
exactly right. I gotta chop it up with the legend, bro.
Yeah. Hey,
Exactly.
in the flesh, in the flesh.
Exactly, right? That's gonna be some major shit. Talking to you in like in the Flash, that's like some fucking celebrity shit, bro.
Yes, indeed. I mean, I'm just happy to be here, bro. And I'm thankful to be on deck with you as well. And the fact that you were willing to come on and speak to me about what you got going on. And of course, the conversation of music.
Oh, trust me, bro. There's no one that I'd rather have this conversation with, honestly. Trust me, I've seen your shit and I'm like, okay, this dude knows this shit. He knows what he's talking about.
Oh yeah. Hey, I mean, I've studied music. I live it.
Exactly, right? And that's the best music lover, right? In my opinion, is those who actually study the craft like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like I,
And
I, I low-key wish I was able to study an instrument if I'm being honest with you.
hey man, you never know. I mean, it's always room to expand your horizons and all that. You never know, man. So definitely.
Exactly. No, I'm going to probably I need to. I feel like at this point, just to develop my musical experience, my spiritual and my musical development, I feel like that's the best thing to do.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely encourage that because I know having, interest in playing sax, I would say like Coltrane really inspired me to go further. And even in the past couple years when I got back into it, him and Michael Brecker,
Yeah.
they were like real big inspirations. I mean, so much that I got bit by the bug because of them.
Wow. And those are some heavy influences too, you know what I mean? Like the fact that you're able to just like pick the records from them and then be like, yo, like I want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that shows like major potential in you at that age too, right? Like you're able to be like, okay, I can do that type of record.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is being in a eclectic state of mind, it'll keep you marketable, it'll keep you open to the world and to where people can see you're not limited.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people are like that too now with music being so accessible everywhere. Everyone just kind of
Yeah.
stays like what they're used to.
Like I remember after I got further into radio, I had Tamara Gann on my show. She's currently still here in Miami, and we were talking about like being open to being in different formats of radio. Like don't just pigeonhole yourself to one genre. And that always inspired me to stay open, even when it comes to music. Like, yeah, I'm known as New Jack Kid and this New Jack Swing Kid, but it's
Yeah,
like there's other sides to me that people wouldn't expect me to like showcase.
exactly. And I think because music's that elemental that like it's kind of hard to just stay in one lane, you know what I mean? Especially when it comes to radio because like
Yeah.
there's so much that there's so much variety in it already that it's hard to just kind of be like, okay, you're dedicated to this thing. Especially if it's like the main root of it is like New Jack, but it also sounds like soul and R&B, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it
and
transcends itself.
right. And the cool thing about that is some of the, most of the artists, like when they were on, stage performing, they had some of the best musicians backing them up. Like a prime example, New Edition, Bobby Brown. During the peak of their prime with the
Yeah.
Heartbreak Tour and then Bobby doing his own thing after the tour ended. They
Mhm.
had, who they had on deck?
Who do they have exactly?
Danny LaMille. They had a lot of figures. Tom McDermott and also Danny LaMille.
Okay.
Yeah, if you ever came across the Heartbreak concert live, it's on
Yeah.
YouTube actually. It's on YouTube. Danny LaMille did a hot solo of Boys to Men. It was like almost 4 minutes.
Okay, I need to watch this concert then because I love New Edition. I think no one can top them like ever in terms of boy groups anywhere. New
I
Edition's my
just right. I just thought it was cool that they had guys from Rick James band on the stage, members of the Stone City band on
Yeah, yeah,
stage,
yeah.
backing them up.
But again, it just shows that like it's so elemental, right? And everyone kind of just supports one another, especially during that time.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean, like there's no beef, there's no nobody trying to upsell anybody. It's just, oh, this person's trying to come out with something, let me help them out.
Yeah, and like that definitely showed with the various musicians that were on stage with a lot of different artists during that time frame.
Exactly, right? And especially for New Edition, right? Because they were so massive at that. I don't even think there's any other group that was massive at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that in that particular era, not so much. They were truly that group. I mean, they managed to come back strong with that Heartbreak album.
Exactly. But they already were kind of like they dominated themselves at that time, right? They already
Yes, they
set
did.
themselves up. Yeah. Oh. See, now I have to go revisit that album now. Oh,
I mean, put it like this. It was the turning point for New Edition. Heartbreak was like the turning point because
yeah,
they went through that whole phase of Bobby leaving and then, being a quartet and at one point a trio, which now explains why, we will ultimately see the future of Belle Biv DeVoe.
exactly. And you know what? We're thankful for that record too. There's a lot of
Poison.
right. There's a lot of people that don't like that record, and I'm just like, there's nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a perfect song. You know what I mean? Like it'll keep the party going. Every time I hear it, I never get tired of it.
Nah, same here. I mean, that song never, dies out to me. Yeah, it's played a lot and it's their most biggest song to date. But like when you hear that drum break, you already know what time it is.
Exactly right. It's just it has the samples that you know you can't resist it. Especially that intro part when it goes like you,
Oh,
right? Like come on, you can't ignore it.
no, you cannot. No, no, no.
Right?
Never
Like
can ignore that.
exactly. Like it's one of those things where you hear it and then you're just you know it right off the bat.
And I mean the fact that it sold what, 4 million copies?
Damn. See, like,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't even think about that, right? How much it sold, and it's like that was a hot record, you know what I mean? And it still is a hot record.
Yes, it is. Start to finish. Like my boy Jay Nature and my boy Ice Cold would say, press play. Poison is a press play album.
No, it actually is though. And you know what? Like that album will still probably go on to be like one of the best albums in the 90s,
Absolutely. I mean, two number one
right?
records and a string of top 10 hits. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Exactly. No, and especially that time that it came out too. Like there was so much that was already out on the radio, and like a lot of big artists were coming back too, like on the radio, and you know, you had that song come in, and then it's like it just did big numbers after,
Yes, it did. And they were
right?
touring. Yeah, and it led to them being able to, tour tremendously in promotion of the album and then almost success of the album. So yeah, it was definitely a phenomenal album and just a great time for BBD to really do their thing, on the strength of being on their own.
Exactly. And even though us New Edition fans were like, we want a New Edition album right now, but we still had something to keep us a little busy, right? In terms of waiting
Absolutely.
for the New Edition to come back, right?
Yeah, I mean, because they did their own projects.
Exactly. And then that was the little bit of taste for us, right? To get the taste of everybody's flavor.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is they still would do that even in this current century. Like I remember for a couple years, Bobby, Ralph, and Johnny, they were touring together as heads of state. I don't know, did you ever had a chance to see them as heads of state?
Oh my God, no. I really
No, you
wanted no, I really wanted to. But like again, like shows like that, like it's just common sense. Like if you get all of them together, you know, like they have so many hits individually and then together. It's just it's so smart, you know what I mean? And like they're all so talented.
and yeah, the cool thing about it is too when they toured as heads of state, like they played their hits as well as the New Edition hits.
Yeah, see, like nobody, if I'm being honest, I don't think like I can recall a boy band that can do both of that.
No, no.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of epic shit, if I'm being honest. Like you're able to kind of go into a group and then you see Johnny Gill and you're just like, can you sing my? And you're just like, you know, like you start losing your shit. You're like, oh, I have Johnny Gill right here in the fucking flesh singing to me.
And he's got his bandmates backing him up, singing background.
Exactly. See, I feel like it would just be I don't know if you remember that episode of Moesha where Andel gets proposed to and then Johnny Gill just comes out starts singing.
Yes, I do remember that.
I feel like that's what would happen. Like every single girl would just start screaming and because that when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, Johnny Gill. You know what I mean? Like anytime Johnny Gill pops up somewhere, you just start losing your shit.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm being no, I'm being serious, any singer if they see Johnny Gill, they'll be like, holy fuck, that's Johnny Gill.
Of
You know what I
course. I
mean?
mean, he's the man. I mean, like once New Edition went on hiatus and he reinvented himself,
Yeah.
he just took the world by storm. I mean, the Rub You the Right Way video was evidence. The way he
Listen,
moved, that was evidence.
exactly. Just Johnny Gill as a person, like he's friends with a lot of people in the industry. He's friends with like Janet Jackson,
Yep.
Shawnee's, and like he's so humble, but yet he's super talented.
Oh yes.
Right? And like that's one thing that I've always liked about him is like even though he's like one of the eyepieces of New Edition, it's like he still remains humble with his talent. And he could sing his ass off.
Yeah.
He could
My
sing Z off.
my mom, she was a little livid at one point because of the fact that he would sing my like straight.
Oh yeah.
Because there it's funny there's the record breaking mix, and yeah, like if I were to play that song, my mom would probably go crazy, like turn it off.
But see, like if we were outside, everyone would just start like drooling and starting to like follow Pete
Right.
is, right? Because it's Johnny
We
Gill.
would be listening. We would be like, going close to the stage trying to hear the man sing. Because I mean, that right there is a major honor when you can hear him sing my for how long, or however long he wants.
Exactly, right? And I think like that's something that a lot of people, including myself, Loki, I want to see him perform that, you know what I mean? Because that's just one of those you know what I mean? Like it's one of those songs you have to see him perform it live, especially with those vocals.
Absolutely.
Because he always stays true to his arrangements. One thing I'll say with that. And just when he performs it, it's just like, oh God, your voice is everything, sir.
Yeah. JG skills.
Right? Man, I'm telling you, I'm the biggest new edition groupie out there. I'm telling
Yeah.
you. Oh man, trust me, if my sisters were here, they would follow the same suit too.
I remember when the biopic came out on BET, and I literally stopped everything that I was doing and came home to watch the parts of the biopic, like part two and part three. I was out and about, and then I'm like, yo, I gotta come home and watch this biopic.
Oh my God, no. Same thing, me and my sister, like, because most of my music taste comes from her. So when because and we have BT back home in Canada, so when she saw it, she was like texting me. She's like, "Take this day off from work. You and I are gonna watch like the New Edition story." And then when the Bobby Brown thing came up, she was like, "Oh my God, we need to watch that."
Yeah, and that too. When that I remember when that came on, I rushed home to watch that too.
Exactly. No, and you know what? The New Edition biopic, I would love that story. I will rewatch that biopic forever.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I know it was kind of a little cheesy because of the fact that they utilized elements from this. If you like
Yeah.
watch the biopic, and there's certain things that you'll spot, and it's like that wasn't made in 1997.
Yeah, no, there's some dates that I'm just like, are you sure that's accurate? You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, no, but that's just us being like music geeks and being like, bro, that came out in like 95. I don't know what you talking about.
right. So,
But no,
but
like, yeah, like I've noticed that too. I was just like, but I just take it with the time, you know what I mean?
nah, I mean same here. Like I always pay attention to dates, always.
Like, I don't know if you remember the Toni Braxton biopic.
Yes, I do remember that biopic.
When she's driving up the road to who she's going to see. I want to say she's going to see Babyface's house, and it's supposed to be 91. The radio plays Janet Jackson's That's the Way Love Goes.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. And
Yeah.
there was another scene in the movie where he wasn't man enough was being played, and Carrie Lewis is in the scene, and it's like, wait a minute, he wasn't man enough, wasn't even in existence.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's the one complaint I have with biopics is in terms of like its historical accuracies. I'm like, these records weren't big during this time, you know what I mean?
No,
And like they were non-existent if you think about it. So like you know what I mean? Like you have to set it properly.
Right, exactly. Especially when they're mentioning Carrie Lewis in mint condition since they backed her up when she had the Secrets album out when she was torn. So
Yeah,
yeah, like that didn't make any sense. The fact that they played He Wasn't Man Enough in the middle of a Secrets tour.
exactly, right? And like it was a really good biopic, but I wish like the girls had like a little bit more of input. But again, it's Tony's story, right? So,
Right.
but I'm just a fan of the whole family, so I think I just expected like a little bit of everybody's opinion about Tony's up like her stardom. But it was a really good biopic.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a great biopic. I appreciated watching it. I know I was kind of like a little because of the whole reputation with Lifetime, but I will be honest, I did appreciate the biopic and seeing Tony, come up the way that she did, and she's still doing her thing after all these years. And so are her sisters. I mean, Tamar had a chance to do her thing finally a decade ago.
Oh, I'm so proud of Tamar. I am a huge Braxton fan. So like when I was watching the biopic, I was just like, oh my God, this is like years in the making for me because I've been a fan ever since birth.
Yeah, no, I mean they're all incredible. I mean, all the sisters are great. And
Yeah.
seeing them do the thing at the beginning, I thought that was cool. I wish they would have kept going, but we all know how that can be with the labels and all that. So
Oh, no, you know what? I still play the So Many Ways album. I still play that album. Like that album is probably one of my favorite because 96 is one of my favorite years in music. I will say that that record is probably in the top 10 for me.
yeah, 96 was definitely a year of great music.
Because who else came out? We had Tony come out.
Yeah, she
Puff
came out with
Johnson.
Secret.
Puff
Yep,
Johnson came out with Miracle in 96.
yep.
Uh Jordan Hill came out. Who else came out in 96?
Keith Sweat had his comeback album.
Keith Sweat had his comeback album. See, like Celine Dion was already still super
Yeah,
huge
she was
at
still
that
doing
time
her thing
too.
too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else came out in 96.
Yeah, the
Uh
Tony Rich Project.
yeah, the Tony Rich. Thank you, Tony Rich Project. Basically, Arista was like running 96 if you think about it.
Yep.
Arista the Face because those artists were like coming out and like they were doing everything. Well, and also like Maxwell, Fuji's, that whole thing was going on too during that time, right?
Yeah, pretty much like Arista and Columbia, like they were running it.
Exactly. But there's so many projects from like 96. Like I just am obsessed with that year. Just that whole year had nothing but great albums, great singles, great everything, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, same here. I remember listening to so much different music, even the songs that were like underrated. Sexual Capacity by Color Me Bad. I remember hearing that in my mom's car, and
Yeah.
I thought it was so smooth.
No, exact that record is a classic. That record is a classic. That one, Forevermore, Puff Johnson is my favorite.
Yeah, Forevermore is definitely a classic. I actually had a chance to hear the Miracle album, and I was blown away.
It's one of the best, I would say, and I think it was one of the underrated albums of 96.
And the crazy thing about it is she came, through originally through other projects as well as working with Pac on Me Against the World. So you figure she would have gone further after releasing that album. And she had Nardo on it too. So like I was expecting her to do a whole lot more.
And not only that, she got to tour with Michael Jackson.
Yes, she did.
Like that's not like for an American artist because back then when Michael was touring, he had like a lot of international acts opening up for him. He didn't have anybody that was American until like initially the Bad tour, he had Taylor Dane open up for him. And then actually no, Dangerous tour, he had Chris Cross open up for him
Yeah,
on
I'm
the
on Dangerous
European
Tour.
dates. Yeah, on the European dates. Yeah. So but after that, it was mostly like just he had like a bunch of Australian acts, European acts, and then I think Puff Johnson was the only American person to open up for him on the History tour.
And that's a good thing that she did, especially with the fact that they were technically labor mates. So I'm glad that worked out.
Exactly right. And she was big like internationally, like in the UK and Europe and all of those places. Like her records were like top five, which is very great to see, like in terms of like the chart history. But then you compare it to America, and then it's like she had like a very low chart presence, and it's like she's out here performing the records and stuff. And
Right. And
it's a good it's the album was great. I don't know what people were sleeping on, if I'm being honest with you.
nah, same here. Like when I heard the record, I'm like wondering why did they overlook this? That album that was overlooked, and another album that Cal Will reminded me about today, and that was Art and Soul's LP Touch of Soul. That was another like underrated
Oh,
album.
yes. Art and Soul. I love their music. That was another group that I wish they could have gotten far because they represented like the true they had that Tony Rich thing going on where it was like they
Yep.
actually celebrated the art of the music.
Yes. And
Mhm.
they had Tim Christian, backing them up. So when you got somebody like that, as well as all of his band members and whatnot, you know the album's gonna be a hit. You know it's gonna be quality material.
Exactly. No, it they did a lot of great stuff too. Like even Jody Watley's album, like that was like the best introduction of their music
Yeah.
because
Jody was
he
awesome.
did yeah, because they did the Intimacy album, right? So it was just like you got to hear like that was like the best introduction of them.
And the cool thing about that album, she was able to just showcase who she was. Because I know they were trying to put her in a box based on her first album being successful.
Yeah. No, like if you look at like in terms of like its artistic direction and its musical direction, it's completely like left right.
Yeah.
And it's I like that record too. Like there's so many good songs on there. There's Ecstasy, When a Man Loves a Woman.
Yeah, that was that was her last, chart topping song. Well, I mean, not seriously chart topping, but it was a top 10 hit to where like it had some, you know, prominence on the charts. Because I know
Exactly.
the lead single didn't go any further as we anticipated, but then she came back with When a Man Loves a Woman and whatnot.
Yeah. And Your Love Keeps Working on Me was a really good lead single, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it's crazy that it first came out on the Baby's Kids soundtrack with Joy Diggs.
Yes.
But then to hear her do it, like I thought it was cool. But then when I watched Babies, because I'm like, oh snap, wait a minute. She didn't do it first. It was Joey Diggs.
I will say that in my opinion, the Jody Watley version is a bit better. In terms of the beat, I
Yeah,
will
the
give
beat,
it
yeah,
to Jody. In terms of the beat, I'll give it to Jody. But in terms of its vocal arrangements, I'm gonna have to give it to the original, you know what I mean?
of course.
But no, like I love that record. I think that song is incredible. I think that song is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I remember when I heard it for the first time, I thought it was something real smooth. I was when it came out, I was a kid, so like I didn't really understand like the whole meaning of the song, but I just thought it was, something that I can get my groove on too.
Oh man, you need to hear the remix of that song. There's a really good dance mix of that song that's done by Mark Kinchin, and the beat of it samples that famous there's like that famous 70s house break beat that everyone keeps looping. I can't remember what song it initially came from, but he uses like the backing of that and it's that song and it's really good. It's a really good dance track.
I'll be sure to definitely revisit the mixes and let you know like my whole vibe about it, my thoughts about it.
Please.
No,
I
definitely.
I wish I knew like the I'm horrible with like samples and stuff, but I just know that like the beat of that record, that remix, it's like been everywhere. It's that same break beat that I've been hearing everywhere on like classic dance records. So I'm just trying to this is the problem with loving music. You can't remember anything anymore.
Yeah, hey, I've been through it and I'm still dealing with it myself. Because
Right?
I'm always, we're always in the zone. All of us are in the zone of music and we just get lost in the whole concepts and the whole shuffles of the records.
Exactly, right? And even sometimes like I forget that like there's certain songs that I used to like and I'm just like, "Oh shit. I forgot that was like my song back in the day." You know what I mean?
And the funny thing is, I had a chance to catch some of the content on your YouTube channel, and when you did your introduction video, as far as like doing podcasting and showing the world what you have to offer with music and DJing, I remember you were trying to show something off, in your collection, and you just got lost in the shuffle.
Well, because that's what I'm saying, bro. It's just like when you're in love with it so much, you just start when you get too deep into it, you forget everything else and you're just like it's a rabbit hole that you love to be in, but once you're out of it, then everything just seems so different to you after.
Yeah, no, I could definitely relate to that. But I just thought it was cool to see you really like let the world see you get lost in the element and just still be true at the same time.
I appreciate that, bro, for real. Like I try to stay true to it. You know what I mean? And I'm thankful that I am true to it. It's something that I'm just thankful that I would say like that's my base. That's what keeps me grounded, I would say.
Right. And I've noticed it. You're always in the element, perfecting the craft and really getting deep into the artistry of the artist. I mean, a prime example is this woman right here. Like, dude, the fact I had to show this off for you today. I had to show this off.
Exactly.
And with it being a particular season, I'm like, let me go ahead and put this on display for V. So I want you to know I thought about you when I was going through the whole process of getting CDs and records on deck. See,
Thank you. And
I'll
I,
be
I
all
see the Raven,
careful.
Simone. I know you did that on purpose too.
Yeah, but before I say why don't you go ahead and give me your educated guess?
As to why you have that there.
Yep.
Okay, so I would say like wait, I want to get the year right. 92. 92
Uh-huh.
or 93. 92 or 93. Raven got signed to MCA Records. This was during the Cosby Show. She was the youngest
Yep.
female rapper to get signed to a record label back in the day. She drops That's What Little Girls Are Made Of, goes on Soul Train, goes on all these other shows and starts performing these little Cabbage Patch routines. And listen, that is my song right there. That is my song. As I'm talking about it, I can hear the song in my head.
I remember when it first came out and seeing the video often. I thought it
And
was pretty cool.
and the fact that like she parodies videos in that video too.
Yeah,
Like
including Real Love by Mary J. Blige.
for that age, come on. What I mean? Like it was just so hilarious. And Missy Elliott, you have the debut of Missy Elliott, technically.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know that Missy is rapping on the song, but
Yeah, that was her. She wasn't singing the video, but that was her
yeah,
voice.
yeah, like apparently the record label thought that she was too overweight to be in the video, which was
Yeah, I know. Yep. But
but
they pulled that Martha Wash mess.
see it. And I love Martha Wash too, because when I was researching her music and what they did, I was ready to go into the entire industry and rip people off. Because Martha Wash has a voice that a lot of people would recognize.
Yep.
And like the
Yeah, she
fact that
did so
you think you
much.
can replace somebody else like that, like no, no,
And
you
she
can't do
did and
that.
she did a lot. She did a phenomenal job, with her artistry and of course being in 2 Tons of Fun and the Weather Girls, as well as doing her own thing. Because of the fact that she fought and stood up, she was able to get a deal and be featured on
Exactly.
Luther's Power of Love album.
Exactly. And her solo stuff is just incredible too. Like the first album, Give It to Me or Give It to You, Car Carry On, I still play that song as
Carry
if
On is an awesome record.
I still play that song as if it's the first time I've heard it. They just when you hear that intro, when she starts singing it, you're just like, oh, like like it stops you.
Yeah. You know what about about to happen when you hear that song.
Exactly. And like it's one of my favorite dance records of the 90s, right? A lot of people don't really remember that song that often, if I'm being honest with you, when they think of Martha Wash.
Yeah, because they think about the earlier records and it's raining men all the time, as well as her contribution to everybody and gonna make you sweat.
Exactly. And everybody, that's another great track, right? But excuse me, for me, Carry On, I would have to say is like the one that I would say that brought me to her attention.
Right. Yeah, no, that takes the cake and it's her own record too. So usually when you got your own record out, that normally takes the cake.
Exactly. And like a lot of people covered that record after, like Diana Ross did, Whitney Houston did. Like a lot of people took that record after it came out.
And the cool thing about them is they were still doing their thing in that same time frame.
Exactly, right? It was